Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. One thing I've really enjoyed over the years, many years of being involved in working with Aboriginal people or supporting Aboriginal people is having the opportunity to participate in cultural events, either in the community or at work. And I have to say, one of the things I've been very flabbergasted about is people, particularly my workmates or colleagues, reluctance or fear to participate in events like NAIDOC Week or even other cultural events. And one of the things I find when they approach me suddenly to say, well, what does NAIDOC mean? What does this all mean? I'm a little bit taken aback. I sort of lack confidence, lack fear in terms of how to respond. And I really realized myself, no, I really need to develop a structured speech, a speech so when I am confronted, I am spoken to, I can sort of come out with the words confidently as the purpose of NAIDOC Week and how everyone needs to be involved. Or even if it's not necessarily NAIDOC Week, by getting involved, engaging in Aboriginal cultural activity was not important for the Aboriginals, but important to themselves. So tonight I want to talk about how you can structure a speech or the idea of a purpose of a speech in terms of how you can promote the Aboriginal culture to others. Now, in doing so, a speech needs to have four fundamental things. One is the purpose of the speech. One is who or what the speech is about, so the people involved, what the feeling or the emotion to do with the speech, and lastly, the call to action, how you can get involved. And so a speech component is not just about the standard structure or factual information. It's about the feeling and emotion that comes with it, and then the call to action as to why you might get involved. So I want to give an example of structuring a speech in the context of NAIDOC Week. So what I think is very important to know who it is you need to speak to identify what type of information you need to pass on. Now, in this case, it's quite easy. It's my work colleagues, people who I work with at work every day, who I can identify may not be very comfortable with going to these functions, or even when they're called upon to do the acknowledgement of country, they sort of just do this very mumbled, quick speech, and that's all over. So what I want to do is acknowledge what their skill level is, or their level of understanding is, or maybe their low level of confidence. That's the first thing I want to do. Then I want to go away and do a bit of research in terms of what NAIDOC Week actually is. And I've done a bit of reading myself tonight about what NAIDOC Week is. I understand it, it's had a very, maybe a very sad beginning, which occurred back in 1938, where it was an event that started that recognised 150 years of European invasion on the country and the sad impact it had on the Aboriginal people. As the years have progressed since that time, it's become from a very sad day of raw mourning to a joyous day of celebrating Aboriginal culture, Aboriginal achievement, and also hopeful way of moving forward in keeping those, in a sense, the fires burning. So it's about getting that factual recognition and factual information. And then I move on to the next phase of that speech of the What Do I Write with Purpose, about how that week can actually connect emotionally with that person and how it can engage with their feelings and emotions about how they can actually engage, not just from a factual, oh, I have to be there level, but a very warm, genuine, heartfelt level. And the way I do that is this. I tell the people a story about my family's journey, way from the very beginning. Would you believe it? In the not 1870s, but actually in the 1790s, when my family first came out as convicts from England, overseas, and on the dreaded Second Fleet, and how they may have come along with their European customs and merged into this land and sort of lived on a diet of vegetables and meat and not much else. And how over time and over generations, this country learned to embrace different food, different customs of different people coming in, such as the Chinese, the different Europeans that came in, like the Italians, the Germans, and more recently, the Asian people too, with their and the Spanish people too, with their food of Thai, of Filipino food, and also Spanish food too. And they explain to people, well, you've come and you've very readily eaten their food. So what about the bit of the Aboriginals? Why is that an issue to not understand it and not to engage in it? Why could we more? Why is it so easy to think about and engage easily in the food, not them? And even think about your culture too. What is it about you identify with your culture or other people's culture, like going along to dances, going on to music and events? But what about the Aboriginal culture in terms of dancing and singing and watching those levels of performance, a very energetic performance, and how it can touch with your soul and your spirit in terms of the energy, the fun they provide, in the way that they connect with their country and also connect with the animals of their country too. And I encourage them to think about the way they might walk about and engage with the land that they walk on, and then make that connection with themselves and with the Aboriginal people too, in terms of getting together their kindred spirits and how they might feel emotionally throughout the whole senses. They're only in their eyes, their ears, their feelings, their emotions, their movement, and their touch. And then I said, think to them, well, look, you've identified all your feelings and emotions. Now, what's your call to action? What can you do now, in the next month, at the end of this year, to engage with the Aboriginal culture? How would you come with me to NAIDOC week? Well, we can eat the food. We can go to a cultural event, or even sit and listen, and maybe even pick up some rooibos tea and have a toast and a drink to the culture as well. And so, in terms of structuring my speech with purpose, I not only look at the facts, look at the emotion, I look at who I need to engage with, and then a call to action of what they can do. And in doing that, I feel much more confident promoting NAIDOC Week to the community. Thank you very much.